All right, Rockers. Well, this is the second week in a row we've got an interview here inside the asylum on bullspikeradio.com. And this week I am very glad to finally be able to bring you a friend of mine and us here at bullspikeradio.com. Gary Pickard, vocals and guitar of Never Even. How are you,
Good to
dude?
be here, man. Things are good. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We've been talking about doing this for a long time now.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, man. But I'm glad we're finally able to do it. And for me and Gary, this is just another time to hang out. We're always bullshitting and whatnot at shows here and there.
Yeah, awesome. I always seeing you out. I think the first time we met was at the Rock Against Dystrophy benefit, right?
Yeah, I think that was the first time that we officially met. I know we thought we got with each other over Facebook prior to that, but we physically met at that RED event back in November, I think it was.
Yeah. I think it was right before Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was the night before Thanksgiving. That's right. That's right. I remember the promo. I played around with the Nightmare Before Christmas theme and made it like a Nightmare Before Thanksgiving.
Nightmare before Thanksgiving, right.
Cool, man. Cool. Um, so really, the first thing I want to do for those that are listening that may not be familiar with Never Even, and the
Mhm.
first time getting to hear you guys on my show, I mean, I played you guys almost on a regular basis. But
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Never Even, give them an idea of exactly what you guys are all about.
Never even. How to sum it up? We are a progressive hard rock band, Brooklyn based. We're in it to win it, like every other band out there. Very melodic, kind of hard rock music. A lot of people always compare us to bands like Queensryche, Rush, Dream Theater sometimes. It all depends on, everyone's outlook on it. But, just four dudes from Brooklyn trying to make some great music, man.
Cool, man. I mean, that's exactly what you guys do. Now, I gotta ask because I was just the other day that it finally hit me in the face that I'm looking at the Facebook and you guys' Facebook, and I realized after all this time that the band name is spelled the same way forwards and backwards.
It is one of the few palindromic band names out there.
Now, was that done intentionally? Was that done simply by accident? Did you guys come up with the name and then it was like, oh shit, look, it works both ways?
It was it's a weird story actually. When the band first started, maybe I'd say about 9 years ago now. Wow, geez. About 9 years ago, it was basically just a songwriting project for me to try kind of get my chops together in terms of like getting my own material out there. And so the guys that were in the band at the time were like, we need a name, and like every other band usually does, we all sat down in a circle for 6 hours and came up with the worst possible band names ever. And we couldn't settle on anything, so we all kind of went home and kind of thought about it. And that night I had a dream that the band was playing at like a stage in the round. Like there was a crowd on 360 degrees around us. And a banner above us read Never Even, written kind of the way that our logo is, being able to read it forward and backwards, so people on both sides of the stage would be able to read the band name. And so I just called everybody when I woke up. I'm like, what do you guys think about this? It's backwards and forwards. It's awesome. And everyone thought it was cool, and it's kind of stuck from there.
Doesn't that tell you, if you dream it, you could be it? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, even some of the better songs, in my opinion, that we turn out with, like they're things that come to me in dreams. It's weird and fascinating at the same time. But the band name definitely came out of a dream that I had.
well, I mean, that kind of goes back to when I was in college. I had a professor that once said, keep a a notepad by like right next to your bed on like
Yes.
a night table because if you dream it, you got to be able to get up and write it before you lose it.
Right,
And
right.
it's
I agree 100%. It gets to the point sometimes, like if I'm in a writing mode, like I'll have moments of like serious writer's block in terms of material, and then I'll have just these like prolific bursts where I'll just be writing a lot of music. But during those times, I'll maybe sleep for 4 hours and get up, and I'll have to go like record the things or write things in the middle of the night. That seems to be the most creative time for me, usually like 3 or 4 in the morning.
yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, for those that follow me on Twitter and Facebook, know I tend to be up till at least 2 or 3 in the morning, and I try to
That's
get
true.
yeah, I try to get in bed, and as soon as I get in bed, it seems to be when my head starts. Well, what if this happened, and what if you did this and that, and I'm lucky if I fall asleep by 3.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The mind just constantly races all the time.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you, man. You gotta take advantage of those creative juices whenever you can.
That's right. The windows of opportunity are small. You got to grab them whenever they happen.
Absolutely. And now, the current album you guys have out is The Progress of Disaster. And I know
That's
you
correct.
guys have that out on iTunes, and you guys, can people get it from you guys via the website if they want a hard copy or?
Yeah. We sell it at all shows, and we have a mailing list if people are interested in that. It's also available through hard copy on CD Baby, a few retail stores around. It's definitely available.
Cool. I mean, really, the main outlet, especially with everything being so worldwide, is digital. So really, it's a good thing that you guys are up there on iTunes. And yeah, that brings me to a point about your music. And as you said, you guys are very on a melodic side. You're very much like a Rush or a Deep Purple or a Dream Theater. And being that you guys are part of the Brooklyn scene, and I mean, we're not gonna lie, a lot of the bands here in the area are heavier,
Right.
harder sounding bands.
Yes.
And do you find that that gets to be an issue for you guys when it comes to getting out there and getting on a bill because you're kind of you're harder, you're that hard metal, but you've got that melody, so you're not as aggressive as the other bands.
Right, right. It's a funny. I wouldn't call it a problem, but it's definitely a situation that we're aware of. A lot of our friends are and that's our scene. I'm not going to lie. Like we've been trying to find a home ever since the band started 9 years ago, and back in 2002, 2003, the New York scene for all kinds of music. I mean, it was really like that hipster Williamsburg-based like folk rock kind of scene, and we were always the loudest band by far. So it's actually kind of a welcoming thing to not be the heaviest band on the bill, and usually even being the lightest band on the bill because of all the melodic and harmonic qualities that we have to our music. Not saying that the heavy bands don't have these qualities, but we're not known for screaming. We're not known for being aggressive. We're known for our stacked harmonies and compositional and improvisational prowess. It's not so much of a problem, but it's definitely something that we are aware of. We kind of choose our bills very wisely. There are a bunch of really great hard rock bands in the area as well that we're friends with, but it just turns out that we're really good friends with a lot of the heavier, like definite, like true metal bands in the scene.
Well, I don't know if I would use the term, true metal because I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it and the way I tell people week after week, you got 2 categories. You got rock and you got metal. You got all these people that try to go, oh, well, Iron Maiden is power metal and Twisted Sister is glam metal, and this one is
Right.
not metal. It gets kind of drawn out because sometimes you get stuff that fits in between. Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely. I categorize you more in the metal scene, basically because of the fact that you guys do sound like a Dream Theater, a Deep Purple, bands that got the metal name going, but used melody first.
Yes.
In what they do.
It's very funny because it really depends on who you ask. I mean, you listen to a guy who it's how people want to classify metal, and we do identify ourselves as a rock band. We identify ourselves as a hard rock band. There's times where we identify ourselves as a metal band. It really depends. If there's a dude who listens to nothing but just like death and black metal and stuff like that, he's not going to consider us a metal band. He's going to see us as more of like a Deep Purplish, Rush kind of more prog hard rock kind of thing. But to the common...
That kind of person may even consider you a top 40 pop rock, if you make that kind of a distinction between, like, you guys from a very aggressive, thrashy sound.
Right, it's true. I mean, compared to a lot of the bands, we have a lot more... it's funny, we just actually got a review, I forget what the site was, but they accused us of writing music for our fans and not for ourselves. And I have to say that nothing could be further from the truth. Even though our music has a very commercially vile element to it, we really, I'm a big fan of writing memorable hooks and choruses and really structuring a song to the way that people can remember it. I mean, it's not, pops like what's on the pop chart today, but it's definitely something that you would be able to hear on like mainstream radio. I'm very aware of that. But I write that music for myself. I'm a huge fan of just melody and good harmony and great chord changes making a song.
Right. I mean, essentially what you do is you stay true to what you believe in what is good music. Right.
Yeah. And all of our influences are different, someone who doesn't like us because we have all these elements in it, that's cool, man. I respect that. There's different strokes for everybody. But everything that comes out of the band that I write for the group is true to myself, and everything has a message that's very personal to me. It's not just, one of these bands that are just like checking in and cashing out, but one of those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I even, thought, said to the guys of Dropdown on Facebook over the weekend, is that, they got to stay true to themselves, and I'm noticing a lot of the bands in the scene are now kind of just starting to go, you know what, let's write what we know we can write, what we want to play, and what our fans want to hear, as opposed to sitting there and going, okay, what are we going to do to try and be the next, like, Evanescence or the next Seether?
Right.
Instead of sitting there trying to go, how do we copy a radio sound to get the record deal without sounding like we copy it?
Right.
And, there were too many bands that did that and are doing it, and it's really reassuring that there are bands out there like you, Tired Wings, Kill Code, Dropdown, just to name a few.
All great bands.
Yeah, that are all staying true to what they know and what they do. And that's how you make the record, a good record. That's how you make an album that stands out, and hopefully, that's how you get a record deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a strange subject, especially now in 2012. It's like, a record deal, of course, would be nice to have the financial backing and the freedom to, have a team of people working for you. But is it something that's necessary? That's happening in the music industry. I mean, there's so many bands on the scene that are doing it themselves. The record companies aren't as powerful as they used to be. Everyone's doing things independently. Even the smaller labels. I mean, there's there's not really a huge need for them. I'm not going to lie. It would be nice to be on a label and to call a label home, but we're gonna play and write what we want to, regardless. You know.
Yeah, and that's really what everyone. I mean, like you said, it's really the best way to do things now, because even look at the major label. Look at so many artists that are coming out on the big labels. You hear them maybe for a month, and then when the next big thing comes along, the label puts all their money behind that artist, and then all you hear every other hour is something from that artist, and everyone goes, whatever happened to this other one? Right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and I think that a lot of the bands, especially that end up signing to the major labels, they it's a trade-off. They're giving probably a little bit of the creative control over their material for the opportunity to be heard on a bigger stage, on a bigger platform. It's not something that I think that we're willing to do. We like having 110% control over all of the music that we put out. So if it was offered to us on a silver platter, it would really be very hard for us to agree with terms like that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And, that kind of all winds back around to being true to yourself and the music that you want to write.
Right, and going back to we've encountered some resistance on the New York scene now. For the most part, I mean, people are cool. They like what we're doing. We're getting a really good reception. There are a few people who they hear a guy singing up there, and not only just singing, but my voice is fairly high in register as well. We get a lot of again, Deep Purple and Rush, Queensryche, Dream Theater, all of these comparisons. There's not a lot of people singing out there, and not only just singing, but singing in a higher register. It's something that I find some people down upon, or they're just not down with that yet. They've moved on to a more aggressive sound. But I've trained my voice for years, and I'm very proud of the sound that we've come to cultivate. And we're just going to keep doing what we do, regardless of what people think.
Yeah, I mean, as you should be. I mean, it's also a matter of what people are exposed to. I mean, personally, you and I have talked music for hours on end just at the shows. And I started out mainly, as a Metallica. I wanted that hard, heavy, in your face kind of sound. And when I was in high school, someone said to me, Dream Theater or Rush, I looked at him and I went, all right, go light up another joint and have some fun,
Right.
But here I am years later, and, one band leads you to another, and then someone else introduces you to another thing, and the next thing you know, here I am years later, I'm listening to the melodic stuff, like A Nightwish, and stuff that usually I wouldn't be into. And sometimes, too, being the oddball out like you are with your vocals makes you you and Never Even makes you guys a unique band, and helps you to stand out in a scene where, not taking away from any of the other bands. Everyone knows I love all the other bands. As hard or as melodic as, whichever end of the stream they're on, doesn't matter. I love them all. But when you have a scene where it's mainly aggressive vocals, doing what you guys do kind of gives you an edge to stand out. Whether it's good or bad depends on the show.
There's no such thing, in my opinion, as bad publicity. People hear us and they know it's us, and that, to me, and also it's people either really like us or they just don't like what we're doing. And both of those factors really tell me that we're on the right path and we're doing the right thing. If people just heard us and were lukewarm to what we were doing and just, they're like, yeah, whatever, they're all right, I know that we'd have to step it up or change our plan because we're not hitting people as viscerally as we possibly could. That we get such a strong reaction out of people, that means that we're definitely doing the right thing.
And after show, and when you guys do, art shows and album shows, I know you've got one coming up on May 12th.
Yes.
What's the general reaction that you get afterwards?
It's funny. Again, it depends on the bill. It depends on the other bands on the bill, the kind of crowd that comes in. A lot of the stuff is, it's accessible to listen to, but there's also a lot of technical facility that goes into the playing as well. So people kind of, it's like the old saying, a confused dude isn't a moshing dude, They kind of just look there. It's not one of those, like, kind of things where you just get into a pit and just go crazy. There's definitely a lot of introspection within our music, and it's deep stuff, in my opinion. So people tend to just kind of check us out, and they really dig what we do. They enjoy listening to us. It's not the kind of thing where a huge pit breaks out and someone gets their nose broken, and I'm fine with that,
I'd be surprised if that happened.
I would as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind if people are enjoying themselves listening to us. That's cool. But it's all about how the people want to express themselves. The dude doesn't want to listen to us, wants to leave. That's his opinion, and I wish him the best. It's totally fine. I'm doing what I'm proud of, and if people do what I'm doing, then come along for the ride.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's really the best way to look at it, and that's also the true sign of the fact that you guys definitely are going in the right direction. And, I mean, essentially, sky's the limit for you guys.
Well, we appreciate that, man, definitely. And that's our opinion as well. There's never going to be a point where we're done trying to reach out. We're never going to be bored with what we're trying to do. We're always trying to push the envelope creatively. We're always trying to push the envelope in terms of how we can reach people and how we can really get people involved in the experience. Even if it's not on physical terms, we want to engage people intellectually, and we want to engage people mentally to really get them thinking about in terms of the music and enjoying it in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys definitely do that without a doubt. Now, I know you guys have a show coming up on May 12th, and that's going to be Tompkins Square Park, and I'm looking at the website, and the details are still being worked out on that one. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So
it looks like it's going to be a daytime festival in Tompkins Square Park. We're still talking to the promoter about it. Actually, it's put together our friends in SOS. Are holding the show, but we're waiting for the other bands on the bill and just to make sure that everything's cleared. But that's our next time on the docket for us.
Awesome, and I gotta ask, being that I'm looking at the date on your EP, and I'm looking at it, and it's saying January of 2011, and I'm not one to push people for new music. I know what it takes to put stuff together. I know how the creative process works, but is there any new music from Never Even in the works or being discussed?
We have probably a whole album's worth of material that hasn't been recorded. We usually play a mix of what's on the EP, and even some of the older stuff on the older records. We sometimes throw that stuff in, but there's probably a good 9 or 10 songs that we haven't recorded yet. We might be going back into the studio to do that in the future. We're also working on completely new material. I'm writing constantly. It's just one of those creative process things where you don't want to push it. You want it to happen naturally. So hopefully we'll be introducing some new songs into the set within the next few months.
Awesome, man. That's always good to hear. You got kind of an Axl Rose kind of thing going on there, an album worth of material, but not quite ready yet for the album.
You gotta keep people hungry for more. We're one of the bands that you get those bands who play a full set, good hours worth of music, and then they're like asking, you guys want to hear one more? And that's fine and all, but we'd rather come in there, bang out 6 killer songs, melt their faces, and leave them wanting more.
That's the absolute best way to do it. It's the old saying, leave them wanting more. Everyone goes to a big show like like a Kiss or an Iron Maiden, and you hear you hear people afterwards. Oh, they didn't play this song, and they didn't play this song, and why didn't they play this one? And then they forget that, as you just said, you gotta leave them wanting more.
Right, you can't overstay your welcome. It's that's one of the primary rules, in my opinion.
Definitely, man. That's a good one. And you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to leave people wanting more. I don't want to keep you up too much later on this Thursday evening. And again, you and I, we could sit here and do a whole 3 hours of just talking music.
Easy. It's been done before.
That's how we are, but I don't want to keep you up too much later. I'm sure you've got work or whatnot tomorrow, and I appreciate the time that you took to do this now that we were finally able to do it. And, of course, we'll have you back on in the future.
Sounds great, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
And I'm glad to. Now, before I let you go, I got 2 things I always ask of people that spend some time with us here inside the asylum, and that is, first I'm going to ask you for a request of something you want me to play. I'll play it right after this. We're done wrapping up this interview.
Okay. I got to think about that. Could it be anything?
Anything, man. Could be anything, and I'll let you know if I have it or I don't have it.
Huh. All right. We've been talking a lot about Rush. Why don't you play something off of Moving Pictures?
That I could do.
Cool.
I'll play a track off of Moving Pictures, and I won't even specify. I'll just pick one and let it fly. That's
sure, man.
All right, man. And one more thing from you before you go. I gotta get a promo from you for the station. And, have fun with it. Say who you are, what band you're with, that you're listening to both, like, radio, and you can have some fun with it, Get a little creative if you like.
Oh, the pressure, man, the pressure. Right now? Do that right now?
Yeah, right now, man, before I let you go.
All right, this is Gary from Never Even. You're listening to the one and only Bull Spike Radio Turbo on the Asylum.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this. And I do know, me and you will always hit up on Facebook or at shows. And I think I gave you my cell phone number and before we did this, so you got that too now.
Yeah, man, definitely. We got to hang. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Definitely, buddy.
Definitely, man. Definitely. All right, Gary. Well, Gary, thank you for the time here. And here we go. By request, some Rush. Something off of Moving Pictures right now.
Awesome.
You go, gang. Enjoy.
Cool.
All right, man. Cool.
That was great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Let me know when it airs. I'm definitely going to push the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to air Thursday. Matter of fact, I did the event listing for this week's show yesterday, and it's in the description that I am going to have you on this week. What I may do, even if I get Adrenaline Mob on, what I'll probably do is I'll probably keep you in the first hour. That way, because I figure more people will tune in and stay for Adrenaline Mob.
Okay.
And I want you guys in early. But I think either way it'll be within, I'd say, the first hour.
Cool, man. That sounds great. When it's definite set in stone, let me know. I'll put up the times and all the links.
All right, definitely. You could start sharing the event listing that I put
Okay,
up. I know I sent an invite over your way on Facebook, so you could
cool.
start sharing that because it just says in general that I'll have you on air, so you could start
Okay,
blasting that.
cool. I'll get to the computer, start doing that right now, man.
All right, cool, man. You got my cell number, so don't be afraid to reach out anytime. I'm always around, man.
Well, same here, brother. I'm here for you whenever need be.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks,
All
Servo.
right, brother.
Later.
Bye.